Well, hey people, how's it going this afternoon? At home with Greg again. Today, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But that's part of the beauty of cooking. Sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get. I've had this pork loin here. I got it yesterday at the store. Kind of a big boy. It's probably 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds, something like that. I can't figure out what to do with it. Normally, I can cut it into pork chops. I can roast it. But nothing's sounding good. I want to do something a little bit different. So what I thought to do is, I'm going to score this. I'm going to cut out the middle. I've got, well, as you can see in here, in my little Cuisinart guy, I've got spinach, onions, mushrooms, and some bell peppers. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this down, as well as the inside of the part that I'm going to hollow out of this pork loin. I'm going to add some red wine, some balsamic vinegar, and some miso paste. Now, miso paste, anybody who's here in Southern California, you've got a ranch market close by. A lot of Ralphs also have it. Just go in there. Literally, this could last you the rest of your life. I mean, seriously, it might be like $5 or whatever, but it doesn't really go bad, and you can use it over and over and over and over again. So I'm just going to experiment. I have no idea if this is going to come out. What I'm thinking about doing once I get this all hollowed out, put that in there, get that all ground up. I'm going to stuff it back in here. I'm going to wrap it in tin foil. Normally, you would tie this, but I don't have any cord or webbing, like a roasting web or whatever. I don't really have any of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap it in tin foil, and I'm going to cook it in the tin foil, in a pan, in the stove, in the oven, in the oven. And then, let's say with, 10 minutes left or something like that, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put it on the top, and I'm going to broil it to see if I can get some of that, that good char on there. So, like I said, I don't know if this is going to work, but one of the things that I want to stress, if you've learned anything in these videos, be creative. Do your own thing. That's why I don't give you set recipes, because I want you to learn how to cook, and my recipe may not be what you like. So I like to give you just a basic guideline, and then you can figure it out. So this is nothing I've seen before. It's going to kind of be a pinwheel a little bit, but it's going to be different. So we're going to see how that turns out. And of course, a sharp knife. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to try to cut out, and I don't know, I've never tried to do this. So what I'm going to try to do here is cut out the middle. Of course, what I suggest is a very, very sharp knife. Don't mess around with dull knives, and don't use something like this. For God's sakes, this is not a cooking knife. This is a steak knife. Don't be doing this stuff, okay? If there's one thing I can teach you, don't use that kind of knife. Use a real knife. Use a knife that's designed for the job that you're going to be doing. Now, of course, with that said, French carving knife probably isn't the best knife to use while doing this, but it's the sharpest knife I have, and I would much rather use a sharp knife than a dull one. So, as you can see, we pulled that right out. I think that'll be thin enough. Let's see. Maybe just a little bit more. And how you can do this is what I always do is I always kind of think of, how I see them do it at the sushi place, right? And they're cutting these thin things. And what I've noticed is basically if you want to cut something thin, you kind of pull on it and then come underneath it, just like that. See? And you can get really thin pieces. I think that'll work. All right. I think that'll do it. Okay, now this is going to be interesting because I've never really tried to grind meat in this thing before, and I've already got all these vegetables in there to the point where it may not even fit. So I don't really know if this is going to work. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop these into smaller pieces to kind of give the Cuisinart a little bit of a break here. Again, if you don't have a food processor, go out and buy one. They're so cheap. You know, 15, 20 bucks. And it'll just save you so much time and effort. It really will. So we're going to try this. Like I said, and you know what? Let's put this down a little bit. Now, of course, the other thing is I generally don't like grinding meat in something that, you know, like I'm going to be using this to make salsa here in about a half an hour. So that means I got to wash it by hand. So generally speaking, don't really want to do that with pork. Probably not the best idea. You know what? Let me just wash my hand real quick. All right. Shove this down in there. It's a little overpacked. So hopefully we'll be able to get this thing down in there. And sometimes you have to do this. It's kind of like a blender, you know, when you're trying to chop ice, you know, and it crawls to the side and it doesn't quite get down. There we go. Whammo. Now we're going to stick the pork in there. Hopefully this will work. Never really done this. There we go. That's pretty good, actually. Yeah, that worked out really well, actually. So now what I've got is like kind of like a pork loaf in here, and I'll show you in a second. I want to get the rest of the stuff blended in here, but it does look like a pork. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a bowl. Okay, I'm going to put this stuff in there. I'll do that where you guys can see. And this has actually turned out kind of the way I was thinking it would. See where it's, you can't even tell there's meat in there, to be honest with you. Because of the spinach. But I think it's going to be pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in, I don't know, that's about 1/8 of a cup, I guess, something like that. Enough to darken it, basically. And again, I have no idea of what I'm doing on this. Oh, garlic. Gotta have garlic. Always, always, always. Ooh. Maybe not that much. Well, alrighty. Never have too much garlic, I guess. Now, so I've got that in there. I've got the balsamic. I'm going to take a little bit of wine. And because the miso paste is a paste, it's generally a little bit hard to get it kind of broken down, I suppose is the best word, to get it smooth. So a person showed me this, a Japanese buddy of mine showed me this. And this is the same thing you can do when you're putting in your wasabi at the sushi place. So what you want to do is with your wasabi, or in this case, your miso paste. Just get enough liquid in there to make another paste that is much more pliable, I guess is the right word. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of mash this up. And again, you kind of mash it against the sides. See, like that. Okay. And then you get another paste that instead of being like a chunk of Play-Doh, now what you have is a consistency kind of like peanut butter. Okay. And just add a little bit. Once you get that paste going, then you can add more liquid, and it just dissipates into the liquid just like this. See how smooth that is? So you could do the same thing with your wasabi at the sushi restaurant, and that way you don't get, you know, the wasabi bomb, you know, there to kill you. There we go. So we're going to pour that in, and again, you know, part of the problem is because there's pork already mixed in here, you know, I can't taste it. You know, to taste it would be foolish. We'll just say that with raw pork in there. So now this is just some salt-free seasoning. You could add anything you want. Typically, I put in a little bit of Italian seasoning because it's got a little bit of everything. But you have to be careful because some of them are a little bit bitter, and I don't like that bitter taste. I don't know if it's the rosemary or what it is, but I'm not the biggest fan of that flavor. All right, so we've got all this. And then we're going to mix it up. Looks pretty good. Actually, it looks pretty nasty, to tell you the truth. But it looks good. I think it's going to be really good in there. So, are we going to be able to fit all this in there? Probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my tinfoil now in preparation that this isn't going to all fit in there. But I think it's going to be really... Oh, wait. You know what I want to do? Before I do that, I've got another idea. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread a thin layer of teriyaki in here. And I don't really like this teriyaki because it's not as thick as I would like, especially for this. But see, and again, I'm just winging it. I'm just thinking, okay, what would taste good with this? You know, how can I make this have the flavor palette that I'm kind of looking for, which is kind of a sweet, kind of a salty, you know, because it's pork, so salt works really well with pork. So, you know, and I think, well, maybe teriyaki will do that. So we're going to try that and see how it comes out. Now, there's going to be way more of this than I need. But I kind of want to use it all, and there's no way I'm going to be able to. So we're going to have to figure out what to do with the rest of that. So what I'm going to do... Oh, man. I don't think there's enough. See, and this is why you don't do this live. All right. So there we go. Now, actually... gotten a little bit more than I thought. Okay, so that's going to actually work. So now what I want to do is I want to kind of get a little bit of the balsamic I'm going to pour that over the top. There we go. See how that works. All right. Here we go. Wish me luck. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just going to try to roll this in, kind of like a burrito. And then we're going to pinch it off at the ends. Hey, how about that? Huh? All right. It worked. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Not really sure what I'm going to do with this. What you could do, actually, is this. What you could do is make a sausage out of this. So if I would have kept a little bit more of the pork, I could have made a sausage with this. What I'm probably going to do is cook this up in a pan and see what it tastes like and see if I can figure out any other use for it. If I can figure out another use for it, sorry about that, then I'm going to use it. Because I hate letting things go to waste. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put this in a pan, and this is going to be like a meatloaf pan. Actually, I'll probably use this guy. This guy will work probably a little bit better. Yeah, put him in there like that. Actually, I am going to use a meatloaf pan. Well, and I'll get that, and we will have some results here for you shortly. So when I pull this out and pull it out of the oven and I'm going to present it, I'll be right back. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Well, hello there. We are back. I wanted to let you guys check it out and see how it turned out. So I wanted to show you first the, now this is the pork mixture that we had with the spinach, mushrooms, onions, and bell peppers. And it turned out really good, actually, but it's a little tinny for me. So I wimped out and I put ketchup on the top of this and then kind of roasted it over the top. So I kind of wimped out a little bit. I thought it was a little too bitter. And then here's the au gratin potatoes, and they look like they turned out like super good. So, I mean, look at those. So we're jamming. So just wanted to let you guys know. Have a nice night.